All right, so let's check this out. This is a 68. This truck's a little different. I guess you could say a little different. Look at the suspension in here. This is a 2005 Ford Explorer suspension. Actually, I think that it's pretty much the whole chassis, isn't it? Yeah. And rear suspension in the back. I don't know if there's enough light if we can see it. But check this out. So this was built by a friend of mine's friend, who unfortunately passed away, also named Dan. Yeah, there's a lot of Dans around here. And he did a really nice job on this truck, but unfortunately he didn't get a chance to finish it. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish it. So it is a Ford Explorer chassis, but it's got a Chevy drivetrain in it. It's got a 350 in it with what, from what I can see, it looks like a 350 trans. And this is going to be a really nice truck when it's done. And it's a 68. I mean, that's desirable. So we're going to finish up the wiring on this thing today. And it's got a painless kit in it, which, you know, anybody knows me, I call them painful kits. And we'll get it wired up. So we're back underneath this 68 Chevy C10 swap with a 2005 Explorer drivetrain. I'm just taking a look at things. It's been a few weeks since we looked at this before. We did play around with the wiring a little bit. Now we're working on getting the CVs in. This is actually really a very neat swap that this guy did. So the pumpkin is stationary because it's independent rear suspension. So it's got a one-piece drive shaft, and the drive shaft will never move. So that's really beneficial for these trucks. I run a one-piece drive shaft in mine, but I shortened it up a lot by putting the gear vendors in it. So, you know, take a look at how this all worked out under here. There's quite a bit of fabrication involved, and I don't know all the details because the guy that did it is no longer with us. But I think that this is worthy of noting how this is done, because I think that if somebody else wanted to do this swap, I think it's actually really very neat. So what we're battling right now is he made the CV shafts for this. They're custom. He cut the original ones, or he cut stock ones for the Ford Explorer, and he extended them. And, you know, something that we didn't check, one of them was already installed and we didn't take a look. I think that they are, in fact, different lengths, because this side was not hard to put in, and this side is very hard to put in. So it's probably, they're probably different lengths. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this thing apart, but you have to be real careful because the CVs will actually come apart and then you got ball bearings everywhere. Just wanted to give a good overview of what this looks like under here. This is really bitchin'. All right, so let's just breathe this in here for a second and see what we've got. This side's apart. And we got the lower control arm disconnected. We got the upper control arm disconnected. We got this track control disconnected right here, just all to get the CV in here. So kind of a pain in the rear. This looks like it's custom to me. Obviously, he had to do a ton of fabrication. He's notched the frame here. And he's done a little bit of fabrication work here as well, all to get this mounted up. This looks fabricated to me, but this is a standard. This is Ford, and this is Ford, all right here. So very interesting work, and I'll try and get the best footage of it as I can. We're going to take the other side apart, so I'll get some footage over there.
It's coming.
Pop the upper A-arm off of there. It's almost off. Is it getting bound up? There it goes. It's going to come. It's moving. It's moving like a 16th every time, and then it just like hit a hard spot. Oh, you got it.
Ready?
Yep. Nice. All right, so now we got to separate the spline, and it's been a little while since it's been apart, right? You might be able to hit it with that. You might be able to tap it with the. Well, you could try the dead blow, but yeah, it's moving. It's almost out. Yeah, you got it. You want that piece of aluminum stock? You stick that in there and pry it out. Yeah, so that sway bar link, we'll have to figure that out. I see where it goes. The bolt and one of the isolators is missing. So here are the two half shafts, or CV shafts, and you can see we lined them up right here. We should polish this one up too. It's pretty. I know we did it on this one, but we need to clean this up before it goes back together.
Yeah.
The seals, they'll probably leak because it's just been sitting, but you can take a look here and see the difference in the lengths. So this one was easy to take out on this side, but it's going to be a little bit harder to put this back together on this side now with the right length in it, but the other side's going to be a little bit easier. So we'll see how it goes. But we did get it out of there. So this side gives you a little bit better idea what this looks like. I bet this truck rides really nice, and hopefully we're going to find out today. So the only question that we have for ourselves right now is, did he make the half shafts the right length? And the consensus seems to be, with the meticulousness of this truck, that there probably are the right length, but we have seen some things that might indicate that they might be too long, and if that's the case, they might have to be remade. But we'll find out here shortly. We're going to clean up the splines a little bit. You know, it's sat, there's surface rust, it's making it hard to get back together, so we'll clean this up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and put the longer shaft on the passenger side here where it belongs. So the band clamps are not holding on the CV boots, so while we have the half shafts out, we're going to attempt to reband these. And we have the tool for it, and we went and just picked up some bands right now. Typical kind of AutoZone stuff, but should work. So Rob's going to experiment here and see if he can figure out how to use the tool and get them to hold a little bit better than the clamps that were on there. All right, so Rob's got this figured out, it looks like. So the way that these work, it appears, is you put the band in the back of the clamp there, and you roll that. It looks to me like you roll that lever in the back, which would probably wind up the band, and then it clamps it somehow. Either you fold it over, or looks to me like you probably just fold it over, right? Okay, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Is it slipping?
It's not slipping.
Oh. It looks like that's working. Yeah, because now you got one wrap on it, and it's nice and tight. Oh, I see. You're gonna wrench on it a little bit. Oh, cool. Oh, we're following the instructions? Oh, I figured. I'm shocked. I just thought we were just like, yeah, hell, make it tighter. Why not? So what it looks like here is that you're supposed to thread it through the cutting end. So we've destroyed one so far in the learning process, but that's okay. That's how I like learning, by breaking things. So it looks like you're supposed to thread it through the cutter in there. That we didn't do that, and we might have made it too tight. So we'll give this one more shot. All right.
This thing, we needed to put that band
in there.
Underneath that.
Right. So when you rotate it, it'll actually cut it off when you turn that around.
It would shear it.
Okay. So that's kind of cool. So there's a clearance then when it's like this. Yeah, there's a clearance in there. Okay.
I didn't see that.
All right, got it. And then this, it just folds over the top right here, and then these clamps right here, you fold these two down, and that keeps it from flipping back over. So really, it's just a matter of how tight you make this, because if you make it too tight, what we saw is it just bent the whole clamp over. Yeah. So, okay, well, we'll give that another go. So this is cool. This is, Hecho and China. When sufficient tension has been applied, rotate the tool over the boot, bending the band, there's not even a space in between the and band, so the band, back onto the clip. Sufficient. Well, that's very descriptive. Yep. So right now, Rob's going to kind of repair the old clamp just so we can try it as a, that way we get another free try at this. We figured out that, you know, sufficient pressure is probably less than what it was before. All right, so let's see if we can snap this thing off again. That's how you know it's tight enough.
You can snap it off
Properly, yeah. So that goes under that cutter, hopefully, maybe. Now that it's all completely bent out of shape, I'm sure it'll fit in there just fine.
Something about hitting it with a hammer after. It's in the instructions, so I figure that's what we'll do.
I love it when instructions actually tell you to use a hammer.
Right.
Because then it just really validates it.
I was gonna anyway.
Yeah.
But it said to.
We could just use a new band, but we're way more stubborn than that.
Well, we would really like to see that we know what it's doing first. And this is the funny part. So sufficient pressure or tightness, I believe is what it's saying.
Yes, sufficient. Everybody knows what sufficient is.
This is
So that must need to be back here.
Oh, well, does it slide?
no. It's got threads though, right? Beyond.
I don't think it does. I think it's just.
Well, there you go. That's a great design. Very cool. Yeah, that
You
isn't
cut it
going
as
to
you
work.
bend it.
Well, I mean that.
Is that how it's supposed to work?
No. But today.
But today, maybe we just force it, you know. It's the American way. Does not work well at all. It's not even trying to cut it. Like,
Slipped its way past.
there's no way to. That handle doesn't slide?
No.
Because there's no other way to do that, is there?
It said 90 degrees, but. Okay.
Well, we'll try it again. So we did find the problem with the clamp tool. The problem is China. The handle is incorrectly for the cutter. So as you saw previously, we couldn't rotate the cutter because it was hitting the CV. So we're going to take it apart and make it correct. We make right instead of wrong. So now we get it flipped over. It's just got a little set screw in it. I don't know why you'd ever want it flipped. It's interesting that it lets you change it, but that is more right. All right, so Rob's trying a new clamp here. And we got it fed through the cutter correctly this time, and the handle's correct. So now we'll go ahead and break this one and find out what else we're doing wrong.
Now that's not a very positive attitude, Mr. Dan.
Yeah, well, you know. Usually when I'm negative, positive things happen. When I'm
No.
positive, negative things happen. So it's very polarizing.
The ions of light.
Yes, exactly. So far, so good. But, you know, we made it this far before. Is that boot on there all the way, Dan?
I think so.
Okay.
I can hold it.
Yeah, that's the last thing we need. Yeah, we got it clamped, but now the boot came off. The boot wasn't on there. See, it seems to me, how is that supposed to fold over? I guess it does. Okay. Okay. Until it's sufficient, of course.
Yeah, so I have to stop now.
Right.
Because I see it pulling the clamp. up.
Yeah, it's pulling the clamp up. So now when you cut it off, it won't.
So we turn it back when sufficient pressure is applied, rotate until.
Is it like 90? It's at 90 degrees right now, right?
Yeah.
So then we
It's
cut
about
it.
what it showed.
Right, and then cut it off, and then I'm guessing. Boy, I hope I'm right.
No, that's
And
what it
then
looks like.
and then fold it over the rest of the way by hand and hammer it down.
It
Right.
says clockwise.
Okay.
It did.
Yeah, you're free.
Okay, and then just fold it over.
What do I do with that hand?
You need a
Just a
metal persuasion device.
You know what? After kind of understanding, I just need like a small deep socket Or no, it's quarter-inch quarter drive extension.
Yeah, you can use that as a
Perfect.
punch, sort of.
Nice flat end. And we will also probably start with this.
Well, that band looks loose, though, doesn't it? See, it's not... It's weird. You can't get it tight enough.
Yeah, without ruining things.
Right.
And it could be that it was a little bit tighter before I bent it down because it probably
Right.
picked up some slack.
Right. Yeah,
I don't think it's bad though.
it's not bad. It's just not as tight as it could be. I think it's better than what we had.
Doesn't want to.
It doesn't want to come off, so that's good.
That's
Okay, so success-ish.
Yeah.
Successful enough.
Maybe I'll try to do a little more pressure on the next one.
Right. It's not just good, it's good enough.
There it is.
So we got some updates. We got the driver's side back together. It's a little too hard to film on this side, so we'll do the passenger side. Rob did get the other CV boot clamp on there. He's kind of mastered that art now. Calipers hooked up, brake lines hooked up, so all it's you're going to need over here is just to be bled. So we're going to move on to the passenger side. All right, so as you saw, it's all together in the back, so it definitely helps having the right axle length on either side. So we're good here. Dan's going to jack the front up of this thing, and we are going to put the front pads in it and bleed these brakes. So let's take a gander at what's underneath here. So I can't, like I said, I can't tell you exactly what's been done because I didn't do it. But, you know, the guy that did this was a very skilled individual. As a matter of fact, he was a guy... If anybody remembers PAW, Performance Automotive Warehouse out here in California, he was the guy that was building the cars for the owner. So anyways, what I can tell you is what's not here that used to be, and that's the cross member. The original cross member is completely gone. He's obviously added this here, these mounts, the sway bar over here, this front, yeah, the perches, yep, all these perches over here, this front cross member here. And it looks, I don't think that he took this from the Explorer. I think that he made that. So he did all the dimensions for this. I mean, anybody that appreciates this, this is a ton of work. Just a ton of work. So he fabricated all this, used the A-arms, the upper and lowers. He obviously had to cut this out to fit the whole tower in here. Fabricated that tower. That tower's not from the Explorer. I mean, that's all made. So it's got a rack and pinion steering in it. I think it was, at least some of it's a four-wheel drive donor because this would be a taper bearing otherwise, I think. So it might have come from an all-wheel drive. We'll probably never know. Just, you know, the guy did this in his garage. I mean, this is really cool stuff. What do you think, Dan?
I think it's still fine.
It's good?
Yeah,
It's good.
It's good.
Ain't no frowning at the browning. All right, so we're just wrapping things up here. There's some stuff that we're going to have to come back to. You'll notice the sway bar link's missing over here. There's a couple parts missing for that. As long as we don't, you know, take a high-speed turn with it, it should be fine. You know, we're just going to put it around maybe to the gas station here. This thing hasn't been on the road in probably 20 years. And this build is at least 10 or 15 years old. and we just kind of picked it up at the 98% mark, really. So we got the brakes all bled. That was, you saw how nasty that was. The wiring is all patched up for the most part. I think it's all good enough to get this thing running. It has run already. I missed that part. I wasn't here for that, but they did get the cam broke in about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe longer. And so we're just getting the wheels put on it. Dan's working on the front right now over there, and we'll get these rear ones on, and then it should be good to go. We just got to throw some trans fluid in it. All right, the wheels are all back on it. The last thing that I wanted to do, you know, Rob said it was fine, but, you know, I just want to use one of my smaller torque wrenches and tighten the axle nuts. So Dan's looking up what the spec is for those right now. If not, I'm just going to put them at 150 and call it good. All right, we're going to take these up to 200. Dan did find the spec. It's 203, 200, 203. Close enough. When it rocks like that, let it stop first, because you could get a bad value right off the bat. It's a little hard to see over here, but we'll get it. 200. It's not just good, it's good enough. All right, so we're going to give this thing a shot here. We filled up the coolant, replaced this nipple here, was rotted out from sitting. Dan's got the fuel pump running. We're going to give it a shot without some starting fluid first, and if we got to give it a little bit of huff and gas, we will. That fuel pump doesn't sound primed to me. It's probably, it's got the regular tank in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it a minute. Give it some huff and gas.
I don't know that. I've never smoked.
Well, it's still got the air filter on it. It's really not smart to do it this way, but I'll do it. It's not getting fuel. Uh-oh, we might get getting a little low on our V's.
Well, I got jumper cables.
Crank it over. Yeah, yeah. I just gave it a good. Yep. Okay. Well, let's get the jumper pack on it, or a charger or something. All right, we're gonna give this another shot. Hit it. It's having trouble. It's got too much. There you go. Stop. It's probably too much. Maybe. There she goes. What's making that whistling noise? Okay.
Belt or something.
Does it have oil pressure? Sounds like it has oil pressure, but. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's got a small cam in it, I can hear it. Sounds good. I want to know what that whistling noise is. There's a little whistling noise. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound right.
I feel like it's belt stuff.
It could be.
Don't touch it though.
I'm checking them.
It's still full, so that's good. Let it.
Open.
Well, it's going to spew all over if I let it do it. We should let it do it, but it's going to go everywhere if we do.
Really?
Yeah. When that thermostat opens, it's going to come out. Yeah, that belt is way too loose. Yeah, it's flopping all over the place. Uh-oh. Flooded out, probably. The floats, I don't know if it's adjusted right or not. All right, well, we'll have to do a little tweaking on the carb, probably. So, but it fires up. It fires up and sounds decent.
Awesome.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but we got it running, so another day we'll get it driving. We'll probably break this one off here, and we'll make this a two-parter. But it does run. We got to look at a couple of things. Probably gonna have to adjust the carb. We need to get the battery charged up, tighten the belt, do some adjustments. But it's looking pretty good. So this is gonna be a fun one.